Hey everyone, DisturbedShadow here. Today I'm bringing you a brand new album review. Today we're going to be talking about the brand new EP from the progressive musical genius that is Plini. Now, if you don't know who Plini is, he's an Australian musician who makes really awesome progressive, like instrumental, like rock and metal type of music. It's just really good, and you should definitely check his stuff out because it's just so good. But anyway, today we're going to be talking about his brand new EP, which just came out, which is entitled The End of Everything. And it is the third EP in a series of EPs he did, or a trilogy of EPs he did. I'm not really sure what the actual trilogy is called, but all the albums have the word things in it. And they're just a really good set of three EPs. That the other two are, of course, Other Things and Sweet Nothings, which came out over the last couple of years, and you should definitely go check those out. And I just want to say something about those two EPs. I sort of discovered them around this time last year and discovered this guy's music, and it's just I've listened to those so much, and I'm just so glad to see another EP in this trilogy to wrap it all up, and it is just so freaking good. So let's just jump in and talk about the three songs that are on this album. So first, the opening track, the title track, "The End of Everything," which just has this really cool like melodic intro bit, which sort of reminds me of a riff from one of the songs on the first EP in the series called Selenium Forest. There's just one particular riff that appeared in that song briefly, but it's a cool way to open the song. I'm not sure if there's a relation there. It just kind of reminded me of that. It's just got this really cool melodic thing going out through all the song. It's just so cool how all these different parts come together for this really nice sounding piece using like all these different guitar elements and just so much cool stuff. Plus, there's a guest appearance, a guest guitar solo from Chris Letchford from the another progressive metal band, instrumental band that you may have heard of called Skeletal Summit, and they're just really cool melodic solo in this song that's just so good, and I just love listening to it. And it's just a really cool way to open the song. I mean, this album. It's not my favorite song on the album, but it's still a really good opener for the song. I mean, for this EP. Second track, Wombat Astronaut, in the parentheses, Beyond the Burrow. This is one of my personal favorite songs from Plini. It's just so good. It's got this cool, like, upbeat melodic thing going on. It's just so cool to listen to. And then there's this cool parts with bass and all this stuff, and it just comes together really nicely for this really interesting melodic bit. And just there's so many cool, happy melodies throughout this whole song. I just love listening to it. And I keep listening to it over and over again. Plus, there's this really great piano piece throughout the whole thing by Luke Martin, who's been providing piano to Plini's releases forever since he started doing music, including piano in his work. And it's just such a great dynamic between the guitars and the piano throughout this whole song. It just comes together for a really, really nice sounding song, and I really like it. And of course, the final song in this EP, which is 8 minutes and 32 seconds long, called Paper Moon, which is my personal favorite track on this album. It's just so good, and it's so long, and all these cool progressive bits, and just changes throughout the whole song. And then towards the end, it sort of, or at the start, it gets this really heavy, like almost genty sounding riff. It just sounds so good. It's so heavy. And then as the song goes on, it gets a little more pulled back and more simplistic, and it like slows down a lot. And there's like cool melodic bits with these like percussion sound effects in the background. It just sounds really cool. And then like the clean guitars and stuff come in, and then it gets really more melodic towards the end of the song, and it uh, brings in what I like to call the Plini melody, which appears in almost every release he's done, like not just singles, but like all the trilogy, all three albums in this trilogy, plus the split EP he did with See Through Eye, who's another similar artist who does more metal type of stuff, who's also a really cool guy. But anyway, this is about Plini. So let me talk about this. This melody is so good. It always sends chills down my spine, whatever song it appears in. It's worked so nicely into this album, and it's a really cool way to like wrap things up. And then there's this amazing melodic solo from Jakub Zytecki from I forget what the band's called. Oh, whatever. From another why isn't it listed here? Anyway, another sort of similar, like-minded band that has a similar type of progressive style. It's just really worth checking out this song. Just the way it comes together in the end is so good. And it's just a really great way to wrap up this album and to wrap up the trilogy as a whole. Plus, at the very end, it has this little ticking sound, which sort of fades out as it goes on, which is how the actual trilogy begins with the opening for the first EP called Other Things. The intro song, Heart, which is another one of my favorite Plini songs, has that sort of ticking sound to start it up. So it's like the album comes full circle. It's just so cool to see that. And it's just such a great thing to listen to. So definitely check it out. Now let's talk about the actual musicianship itself. First, let's talk about Plini on guitar. Oh my god, this guy has such talent. There's so many cool, crazy, melodic guitar bits throughout this whole song. I mean, throughout this whole EP. It's just so good. I can't even describe how good it is. Whether it's more like pulled back, sort of clean guitar, simplistic stuff, or a really crazy melodic fast playing. He can do all this kind of stuff, and it just comes together really nicely. He's so great at layering all these different layers together. Okay, now let's talk about the bass. The bass was performed by Simon Grove from the Helix Nebula, which is another Australian project with a similar type of progressive style. It's just the bass is so good, and it's constantly doing different things from the guitar, which is something I always like to hear. Plus, it's turned up so loud, so you can always hear it no matter what song you listen to, which is another thing I always love to see with bass, no matter what type of metal or rock it is. So it just comes together so nicely that you can hear the bass and guitar playing off each other throughout the entire album, and it just comes together so nicely. And like I mentioned, Luke Martin on the piano is doing a fantastic job layering in all these cool piano bits. Plus, I'm not sure exactly if this is Plini himself doing it or Luke Martin doing it. I'm not really sure, but the synths throughout the whole album, they also work really nicely with the guitar. So there's all these layers, the guitars, the synths, the piano, the bass that come together so nicely. Then, of course, the drums are performed by Marco Minnemann, who previously played with artists such as Joe Satriani. And there's just some cool drum bits throughout this whole album, whether they're more pulled back parts to fit the more slowed down stuff, or more fast technical bits to fit parts like the opening for Paper Moon, where it's really fast and technical. So he's doing a great job on the drums, and all these guys come together to make this really, really great sound. So that pretty much wraps things up. So definitely check this EP out, and I definitely recommend checking out all this guy's stuff because it is just so good. And I will see you guys later this week, continuing on with my tool discography that I've still been neglecting to do. So I'll see you guys in the next video.